In the province of Samar, local folk talk about a phantom. For decades, locals told stories of Biringan City, an otherworldly place inhabited by Encantos. Encanto are mythical environmental spirits that are said to have the ability to appear in human form. They are often associated with the spirits of ancestors in the Philippines. They are also characterized as spirit sorts like sirens, dark beings, elves, and more. Belief in their existence has likely existed for centuries, and continues to this day. It is a bracket term for enchanted human-like beings of the land, which includes a variety of mythical races. The term itself was adopted from the Spanish, who were dumbfounded by the wide array of mythical races in the Philippines and just referred to many of the races as enchanted. But instead of beautiful palaces or fortresses reminiscent of mythical cities like Lothlorien, Biringan is somewhat like a black urban city filled spires and cathedrals instead of skyscrapers. People who have seen it report a place of unparalleled magnificence and architecture, not even matched by megacities like New York or Hong Kong. It is urban, and yet not urban. Here, people are lured by fairies and fair-skinned beings to disappear forever. According to local lore, Biringan is located somewhere between the towns of Pagsangan and Gandara in Samar. The Phantom City never appears in naked sight, but shows itself only to people who are being invited into the Black City. Stories abound of fisherfolk seeing the city while at sea, which they described as magnificent, with tall buildings and wonderful lights. Biringan is just one of the hundreds of phantom places around the world that are wrapped in mystery and lore. Stories of supernatural occurrences surround such stories of mysterious places, which are believed to have entrances and exits through certain waypoints or portals. One of the most famous of such alleged waypoints is none other than the Bermuda Triangle, where countless ships and aircraft have disappeared over the centuries. How people are lured into Biringan City. According to a Swang project, people are lured into the city by entering a trance-like state or possession cast on them by elementals or encantos. In a documentary by GMA News, Mel Tionco narrates that there are allegedly 7 portals or waypoints to enter, one of which is through an old tree. Locals believe that when an encanto becomes attracted to a person, they will put him or her in a trance and lead that person into Biringan. Other beliefs about Biringan City tells how only people's consciousness are taken there, leaving their bodies in the physical world. Curious stories of deliveries from Manila and Cebu had addresses at Biringan City. In the documentary by GMA News, locals tell of delivery trucks from Manila and Cebu fully loaded with construction materials that have been paid in advance finding their way to Samar and looking for an address in Biringan. To the bewilderment of locals, the persons who paid for the deliveries had long been deceased. Upon learning that Biringan City is not an actual place, the truck drivers just returned to Manila or Cebu with their haul, frustrated. What are the possible explanations on why people believe in Biringan City? Although accounts of locals about the existence of Biringan City cannot be discounted, there may be other explanations on why there are alleged sightings of the city and why lost people are believed to be trapped in the Phantom City forever. Among the most common reports of alleged sightings of Biringan City come from fisherfolk and seafarers. According to locals, fisherfolk would see a vast city filled with lights while they are fishing at night. A possible scientific explanation for such sightings is a natural phenomenon called light pillars. Light pillars is an atmospheric phenomenon in which vertical pillars of light appear over the horizon, typically at night. Although they look bizarre and otherworldly, light pillars are anything but supernatural. They form when lights from the ground or from the sky interact with ice crystals in the atmosphere, producing vertical halos of light. Light pillars have been sighted in the Philippines, including one event when people mistook them for alien activity in Sulu. In the case of disappearances linked to Biringan City, it could be a human reaction in providing an explanation to something that is unknown or have no closure, just like how some disappearances over the Bermuda Triangle are linked with paranormal phenomenon when a possible natural phenomenon could be the culprit. Whether Biringan City exists or not, the beliefs and sensitivities surrounding it form part of Philippine folklore. It is a testament to the rich culture of the Philippines, and as such, should be respected. The allure of travel is in discovery. It is the joy of experiencing new things, of slipping between the cracks. At Biringan City, persons lucky enough to visit end up doing exactly that. Stories about the mythical city are fairly new, the earliest ones appearing around the 1960s. There are many versions, it is a legend after all, but from all these versions, some core beliefs emerge, almost like fact, that Biringan is invisible, that it is technologically advanced, that it is beautiful. Biringan is described, usually by fishermen, as a city that rises from the waters up to the clouds, a bustling metropolis comparable to New York or Hong Kong. Everything in it, buildings, automobiles, food, jet black, sleek and ultramodern. Perhaps the most intriguing thing about Biringan is its modernity, as its inhabitants enjoy technology more advanced than what is available today. Biringan, in the local Waray language, means hanapan ng mga nawawala, or where one finds the lost. Depending on who you listen to, Biringan is either home to Encantos, the enchanted ones, or the souls of the lost and the dead. There is nothing to distinguish Biringan residents from humans, except for the former's lack of a philtrum, the ridge between the nose and upper lip, which is commonly known among the Bisaya as an indicator that someone is an Encanto. The earliest stories about Biringan are different iterations that revolve around the same themes. There is the story about the bus, emptied of passengers, that picked up two women by the side of the road. The women specify a destination away from the main road, offering 3 times the fare. The driver agrees and takes them there. After the women alight, the driver tries to return to the highway but realizes that the road has closed in behind him, leaving him in the middle of what seemed like an overgrown field. He had no choice but to spend the night in his vehicle. He wakes the next day and realizes that the bus is perched on top of a mountain ridge at an impossible angle, requiring the use of heavy equipment to get back down. Then there's the story of a couple of guys riding tandem on a motorcycle along a dark, lonely road. They expected a smooth, fairly boring trip, except that as they rounded a familiar curve, they were thrust into a wall of sound. Though the highway remained dark and isolated, they were assaulted on all sides by the sound of heavy traffic, the honking of cars, and the yelling of people, as if they had wandered the wrong way into the middle of a busy street. The men were scared but they kept going, hoping to outrun the noise. And they did. Just like that, everything went back to normal, the returning silence a loud boom in their ears, the shock of it all jarring, almost steering them off the road. This isn't an isolated incident. Many motorists have reported the same incident, as if they had momentarily passed through a portal, a psychic tunnel into snarling Biringan traffic, causing chaos before emerging back into our world once again. There have also been stories about construction materials being sent from Manila to addresses in Biringan, complete with delivery instructions. A truckload of lumber was once instructed to drive to a dirt road far from town and to leave the cargo there. The workmen did as they were told, and by the next day, the lumber was gone. Even the Japanese have been beguiled by Biringan's allure. There's a legend from the late 80s to early 90s about a Japanese company that expressed interest in doing rural development work in western Samar. The locals did not know why the foreigners would be interested in their town, as it was fairly undeveloped, but it is said that the Japanese possessed a satellite-generated map that showed a brightly lit spot the size of a city in the middle of a local forested area. Nobody knows what happened after, except that they left empty-handed. There's another one that dates back to the 60s, about a shipment of expensive construction equipment imported from the USA that arrived at the nearest major port in Tacloban. The equipment was addressed to a place in Biringan City, which confused port officials because such a place did not exist. The equipment was kept under guard at the port area, but was never claimed. What makes these stories stand out from other tales of interdimensional commerce is that the items or services are always expensive or overpaid. paid in advance, and, this is important, the money stays money, unlike in most tales, where they change to leaves or stones. This at least says that they use real tender, unlike other fairies, who rely on glamour. It also begs the question, if Biringanons use real money, does this mean they are humans who happen to live in a parallel dimension, or are they Encantos with mortal bank accounts? And then of course, there are stories about Biringanons falling in love. When someone from Biringan falls in love with a human, the mortal man or woman usually falls sick with a mysterious illness incurable by modern medicine. Sometimes, they seem to go mad, saying strange things or talking to people that are not there. Sometimes they die, and when they do, it is believed that their souls go to live in Biringan, where they slowly lose their philtra, the ridge between the nose and upper lip, marking them as true citizens of their new home. Sometimes, a Biringanon will take a human to Biringan for a visit. If a human finds themselves in Biringan, they must make sure not to eat or drink anything there, because if they do, they will never be able to leave. Belief in Biringan persists to this day. There have been instances of school children possessed by citizens of Biringan, and Mel and Joey, an old local news magazine show, once interviewed a professor whose play about the city suffered many mishaps during production, and could only be staged after the proper offerings and permissions were made. One of the things that struck him was how they had to stop praying before rehearsals and performances, because the Biringanons didn't like it when they prayed. The advent of the internet has only spurred belief in Biringan, with people who claim to be Biringanons commenting on posts about the city or setting up Facebook pages, complete with pictures of people with missing philtra. Unlike most folk beliefs, the more advanced technology gets, the more the stories of Biringan come to life. It's only a matter of time before someone produces a satellite map with a brightly lit spot the size of a city where a forest should be. Errol Ozan wrote that some beautiful paths can't be discovered without getting lost. In Biringan's case, it seems that getting lost is the only way to find it. That concludes our today's episode in Story Time. Stay tuned for another tale of extraordinary and chilling mystery unfold. Till next time. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment and suggestion below. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the subscribe button.